Is it worth it? Is it worth the extra cash and all that work that it takes to get that extra cash? Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the Squier Classic Vibe 50s Telecaster with the real thing. This is a real Fender Vintera. What I want to do is I want to give you a flavor for what you get for the extra money that you're going to spend. Now, I can't tell you what's the right decision for you. You have to decide that for yourself. After all, guitars are very personal things. But after you watch this video, why don't you leave a note in the comments to tell everybody how you see it. And yeah, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. Now, first off, I bought both of these guitars with my own money. Actually, I traded for this one, but the guitar I traded, I bought with my own money. There's no manufacturer that paid me or gave me these guitars for review. And while it's not completely unbiased, because that is not humanly possible, at least nobody else is outside influencing me. So it's all me and my personal opinions, all right? All right, now that I've done enough of that throat clearing, let's get on with it. And before we get to the sound, I just want to go through a couple of notes and observations about each of these guitars. Now, the specs are linked below. You can go through the specs in detail if you're so inclined by following those links in the description below. All right, well, let's get on with it. First up is the Squier Classic Vibe 50s Telecaster. There we go. And I've reviewed this guitar before. There's a link in the description if you want to see all the specs. I go through a complete rundown of this guitar. But yeah, it is a great guitar. Pine body, really nice, pretty finish on the pine body. And you can also get it in butterscotch. I think a lot of people prefer. Nice neck, feels great. The pickups are Alnico 3s, so they sound a little bit sweeter on the top end than Alnico 5s, which are a little bit more powerful. If you dig that, and if you're going for that vintage thing, that's great. Bridge has 3 saddles on it, so the intonation is not going to be perfect, but there you go. Now, some people have complained about the frets wearing too quickly. I don't know. I haven't had any problems with any of these frets, but could be if you play it long enough. So far, so good for me. And a lot of people don't like the glossy neck. It's got a glossy feel in the back. Again, I don't mind this. It's a very comfortable neck. And yeah, lots of cool stuff on this one. The Alnico 3s are, I think, especially good feature. It has a bone nut as well, which is a nice feature on it. It's just a great all-around guitar. These do tend to be a little bit heavy as well. This one in particular is a very, very light one. It's about 7 3/4 pounds, but that's about as light as you get for these. Oops, still the Squier Classic Vibe here. I forgot to tell you, this runs $429 in the US as of today. All right, well, this is a slightly different animal. This is the Fender Vintera 50s Telecaster, and this is 50s Modified. So clearly they're going for that vintage 50s look, and this is souped up a little bit. So let me just give you a quick rundown, remembering that the specs are in the description below if you want to know more. So obviously it's got that 50s thing going on. Look at the Clouson tuners. There we go, the Clouson style tuners. And we've got in the bridge classic 3 saddles, but these are brass, which is a nice little upgrade from that. It's got the Fender stamp on that as well. The neck, tinted, which is kind of nice, and it's the best of both worlds in my opinion. On the fretboard, you've got it glossy, and in the back it's satin. You can't really see, but that's what it is. So it feels really nice, satin, but it's the gloss in the front. Now, how is it hot rodded? Well, it's hot rodded in the following way. First, it's got custom shop pickups. This is a twisted Tele here. It looks the same as a regular Tele, the covered, but this is a twisted Tele here, which is, I think, Alnico 5, but they're kind of tall, like in a precision bass or something like that. In the bridge, we've got a combination of Alnico 3 and Alnico 2, and it's overwound, so that's a little bit hot. So I guess it's sort of hot and sweet sound. So hot and sweet sounds pretty good to me. Now, it doesn't end there. We've also got 4-way switching on this. So what that means is when you're in the position 1 right there, you've got the bridge. When you're in position 2, you've got the bridge and neck as normally wired. When you're in position 3, you've got the neck normally wired. And when you're in position 4, you've got the bridge and the neck in series. So one extra sound, and actually I really like that sound, I use it a lot. Now it does actually have 2 more sounds. It has a funky switch, which you get by pressing on the volume, or on the volume knob right there. It depresses in, and that gives this series combination out of phase, which is kind of nasally. And it also does it for position 2. I've never found any use whatsoever for that, but you might. Anyway, so lots of different options on the switching. So classic, but just a little bit modified. Oops, I forgot again. This Fender Vintera 50s Telecaster Modified will run you $1,049 as of today. So it's $620 extra above the Classic Vibe. That's quite a bit of money. All right, so the specs really don't tell all the difference. If you're just going by the specs and the sound, I don't think it quite gets it. There is a difference between these two. You are getting something when you pay that extra $600. Here's basically what I think you're getting. Number 1, the tuners. Now, they look the same, but I can tell you that the Fender Vintera, these are really smooth Clouson tuners, so tuning this, not a problem. Also, these both have bone nuts, but I don't know if you can see that so well, but the one for the Fender is nicely cut, really nicely done, and the one for the Squier kind of slopped on there. So a couple of things that are just like that. Now, I would also say that if you don't like thick necks, this kind of takes this out. It's not super thick, but it's a little on the thick side compared to this. And maybe the Player Series Strat would be for you, which is even less, or Strat, Telecaster would be for you, and that's even less money. It's like $749. But, and anyway, I'm digressing. This neck, not only is it satin in the back gloss on the front, and that's probably a plus, but it's just a much more solid neck. You can feel that it's really in there. It doesn't feel like it's going to move anywhere. This is a better neck. The build quality on this guitar is clearly superior. The parts, the hardware, but you can just tell the craftsmanship that was put into it, the little touches, they're different. The last point of comparison that I wanted to make was the pickups. But instead of talking about it, why don't we just listen to them, and you can be the judge about whether there's any differences and whether that's meaningful, okay? So let's go ahead with the sound comparisons. I'm going to do clean first, comparing all the positions, and then I'm going to do dirty. Now, as always, I go straight from the amp to the guitar, and I only use a little bit of reverb on the amp. No pedals, no post-processing. EQ is flat. That way you can tell what the real differences are, and you can EQ it up however you want. All right? So that's how I like to do it. Let's check it out. That was the clean. Now a little bit of dirty sounds. All right. Again, we're going to go straight from the amp to the guitar. I'm using channel 2 this time and adding a moderate amount of gain, touch of reverb. Again, no pedals whatsoever, no post-processing. Let's check it out. Okay, last thing is I want to show you a couple of special sounds that you can get because of the four-way switching and the S1 switch. All right, let's check that out. Well, what do you think? Is the Vintera the one for you, or maybe you just would prefer a Player Series Telecaster? Or is the Classic Vibe right for you, and maybe even better? I don't know, you be the judge. All I can say is for me, this one is worth it. I spend a lot of time with my guitars, and I think $600 over the course of time, all those little things add up. Yeah, I could modify this, but it still wouldn't be the same. All right, that's my 2 cents. You be the judge. Okay, if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and maybe check out some of my other videos too. We'll see you on down the road.